This question 4.4, velocity is 200 meter per second, temperature is 350 Kelvin. From the static temperature and from the velocity, we have to find the stagnation speed of sound, then critical speed of sound, calculate Mach number, and Mach number refer to critical conditions at a given state. Then maximum velocity of the fluid that can be achieved, and maximum Mach number and maximum Mach number refer to critical conditions. In final part, we will obtain the kinematic form of the adiabatic energy equation and sketch the steady flow adiabatic ellipse. So the velocity and static temperature at a given point in the flow field is given. From the static temperature and velocity, you can find the total or stagnation temperature. This comes out to be 369.9. Then from the total temperature and static temperature relation in terms of Mach number, which was derived in the previous class, we can find the critical temperature. The critical temperature is the temperature when the Mach number is 1. So the critical temperature is 308.25. Critical temperature is the temperature if the flow is, for example, accelerated and Mach number becomes 1. If the flow is accelerated adiabatically, then velocity will increase, temperature will decrease. So when temperature is 308.25, then this temperature is the critical temperature when the Mach number is equal to 1. From the critical temperature value and total temperature value, we can find the critical speed of sound and the total speed of sound. The relation is, for perfect gas, it is under root gamma RT. So when we are calculating A steric, we substitute T steric. So A steric is 351.9. This is the velocity of sound when the flow achieves Mach number equal to 1. Then AT, which is the speed of sound based on the total temperature. So AT is under root gamma RTT. This is 385.5. This is the speed of sound when the flow is, for example, brought adiabatically to rest. Then the temperature will be the total or stagnation temperature. This will give the maximum value of velocity of sound, which is 385.5. Then at the given conditions, we will find the velocity of sound under root gamma RT. T is given. The value of T is 350 Kelvin. We substitute in the formula of velocity of sound, we get 375 Kelvin. So this 375 meter per second. 375 meter per second is the velocity of sound under given conditions. And suppose the value of velocity and velocity of sound is changing adiabatically, then if the flow is accelerated and Mach number is 1, the value of velocity of sound will become 351. And suppose the fluid is deaccelerated and velocity of fluid is 0, the velocity of sound will become 385.5. So this AT represents the maximum value of velocity of sound under the given conditions. Mach number is velocity over A. Velocity is 200 and A is 375. So the value of Mach number is 0.53. Mach number referred to critical conditions is M steric. The formula for M steric is V over A steric. So velocity is V, which is 200, and the denominator is A steric. So A steric is the velocity of sound under critical conditions. So the value is m steric m steric is 0.57. Then in part D, we have to find the maximum value of velocity. For the maximum value of velocity from the above stagnation temperature relation, we can see that velocity will become maximum when static temperature becomes 0. Because for the adiabatic flow, the total temperature is not changing. When total temperature is fixed, for maximum value of velocity, this T should be 0. When T is 0, then according to relation under root gamma RT, the velocity of sound becomes 0. So the minimum value of velocity of sound is 0. And at this value, the maximum value of fluid velocity is 862. Maximum value of Mach number is maximum value of fluid velocity divided by minimum value of velocity of sound. So this becomes infinity. Then we calculate n steric maximum. Mach number refer to critical conditions with maximum value. So for n steric maximum, V maximum divided by A steric. When we are calculating n steric, the denominator is always A steric, and A steric is non-zero. So the maximum value of m steric is 2.45. For part E, we have to obtain the adiabatic ellipse, and for adiabatic ellipse we need kinematic form of the adiabatic energy equation. If the heat transfer is 0 and there is no work transfer, the total energy of the fluid remains same in the fluid flow. When total energy is same, the total temperature is constant. If there is no potential energy changes, the total temperature or total enthalpy remains constant. There is no change in the various forms. There is no change in the total energy. The various forms can change. So adiabatic energy equation can be written as Tt equal to T plus V square over 2Cp. This is the adiabatic form of the energy equation if there is no heat transfer and work transfer, and the potential change in energy. Potential energy change is negligible. For the kinematic form, this relation should only be in terms of velocity. Rather than temperature, it should be in terms of velocity. So we do manipulation. Instead of Cp, we can write gamma r over gamma minus 1. Then multiply the whole equation with gamma r. So equation number 1 is only in terms of velocity. We can further manipulate and obtain an equation of ellipse. In equation 1, we have the general relation. We simplify. Suppose the static temperature is 0, then in that case V is equal to V maximum, and in that case the equation becomes 280 square equal to gamma minus 1 V max square. This is equation number 2. In equation number 1 and 2, we eliminate gamma minus 1 and then divide with 80 square. We finally get the equation of the ellipse. A square over 80 square plus V square divided by V max square equal to 1. After substituting the values of AT in this problem and Vmax in this problem, we get the equation of ellipse for this particular problem. If you plot this equation, we get the shape of an ellipse. This ellipse shows all the possible values of velocity of sound and velocity of fluid. in the case of a diabatic flow without any work transfer. When the velocity of fluid will increase, it can enter into the supersonic or hypersonic region, and when the fluid velocity is increased, the velocity of sound is decreased. And when the flow is subsonic or incompressible, the fluid velocity will decrease, the velocity of sound will increase. So in the bottom part of the curve, we have high velocities. We have high velocities in the bottom part, and in the top part we have low fluid velocities and high velocity of sound. Okay, then we start the topic of one-dimensional isentropic flow. One-dimensional means that the properties will change in only one direction, for example x direction, and the velocity changes in y direction and the z direction are neglected. Isentropic flow means entropy remains constant. For the entropy to remain constant, the frictional effects are neglected and the heat transfer effects are neglected. For the changes in property, the important parameters, the important factors are area changes, friction and heat transfer. The fluid velocity, pressure, temperature, density will change due to change in area or due to friction or due to heat transfer. And we will also discuss the topics of shock. Sometimes the back pressure for the fluid flow is not according to requirement. In that case, the shock occurs and the properties change, the flow is non-isentropic. In this chapter, which is chapter number 4 of gas dynamics by Haluk, only the effect of the area changes will be focused. In the practical problems, more than one factors are there. There can be friction along with area change. There can be heat transfer along with the area change. But for the simple analysis, to make the analysis simple, we are only considering the area change. So we start with the equations. This is the heat transfer equation, dou Q equal to dou Ws plus dH plus dV square over 2 plus dZ. This is the differential form of the energy equation. In this topic, delta Q, delta Ws and dZ, that is heat transfer, work transfer or shaft work, and potential energy changes are negligible. So our equation simplifies 0 equal to dH over dV square over 2, and we can write dH equal to minus V dV. Along with this equation, we also use the TdS or Gibbs relation based on the first law of thermodynamics equation and the definition of work and heat transfer. Q equal to TdS, W equal to P dV, and along with the first law of thermodynamics equation, which is termed as Q equal to W plus delta E. The full derivation can be seen in any thermodynamics book. For example, Thermodynamics by Sengel. In the topic of entropy, you can see the full derivation. So this TdS relation is TdS equal to dH minus dP over rho. In this TdS relation, if we are considering the isentropic conditions, ds will be 0 and dH will be equal to dP over rho. So this is our equation number 2. From 1 and 2, we eliminate dH and we get minus B dV equal to dP over rho, or after dividing with P we get dV equal to minus dP over rho V. So this relation shows the effect of pressure change on velocity change. In the similar manner, we will obtain the relation for the other parameters. We use the differential form of the continuity equation, which is d rho over rho plus dA over A plus dV over V. Instead of dV over V, we write minus dP over rho V square from the above equation. After this, we move the dP over rho V square on the other side and multiply with V square. Then we use the relation for the definition of velocity of sound. Under isentropic conditions, we can write A square equal to dP over d rho, and equation number 4 is dP equal to A square d rho. Substituting dP equal to A square d rho in equation number 3, we get a relation in terms of density and area. V square over A square is m square, and equation number 5 is the relation providing the effect of area change on density. So from equation number 5, we can see that if Mach number is less than 1, if the flow is subsonic, the area change, the area increase will increase the density. On the other hand, if flow is supersonic, m is greater than 1, then area increase will decrease the density. Then, using the continuity equation, d rho over rho plus dA over A plus dV over V equal to 0. If we solve the continuity equation along with equation number 5 and eliminate d rho over rho, we get equation number 6. The equation number 6 relates area with velocity. If area is increased and the flow is subsonic, flow is subsonic and is less than 1. In case of subsonic flow, area increase decreases velocity. In the similar manner, we can obtain a relation between density and velocity. From 5 and 6, we eliminate dA over A and we get equation number 7. So equation number 7 shows an inverse relation between density and velocity for any value of Mach number. Whether it is subsonic or supersonic, there is an inverse relation between velocity and density. If we see equation number 6, the increase in area will decrease velocity only in subsonic flow. Similar is the case with incompressible flow. When we decrease area, velocity increases. So incompressible flow is a special case of subsonic flow. But in supersonic flow, area increases, velocity increases. Then using the above equations, equation 7 and the relation of pressure with velocity, we get equation number 8. The equation number 8 is dA over A equal to dP over rho V square 1 minus m square. Equation number 8 is relation which relates the pressure and area. If Mach number is less than 1, that is subsonic flow, increase in area increases pressure, and for the supersonic flow there is an inverse relation. The equation number 5 also shows that if Mach number is very low, if the Mach number is very low, for example 0.1 or 0.05, then there is negligible change in density. This is the case of incompressible flow. The low subsonic regime is the incompressible flow. From the above equations, we can understand the effect of various parameters. For example, the effect of the pressure change. Suppose dP is negative. Usually in our problems, when the flow occurs, the pressure decreases in flow direction. So suppose the pressure is negative, the change in pressure dP is negative. The decrease in pressure affects the area, density and velocity, and the effect is shown in this table and in this chart. If the pressure is decreasing, this means the area is decreasing. We have the converging section in case of subsonic flow. If the pressure is decreasing and flow is supersonic, this means area is increasing. We have the diverging section. Similarly with density, when pressure is decreasing, density is decreasing, whether the flow is subsonic or supersonic. For the pressure and density, we have simple relation, A square equal to dP over d rho. So pressure and density both are directly related. For the velocity, the decrease in pressure increases velocity, whatever is the Mach number. Whether the Mach number is supersonic regime or subsonic regime, there is an inverse relation between velocity and pressure. So in the chart you can see, if pressure is decreasing, density is continuously decreasing, velocity is continuously increasing, and the decrease in pressure means that area is decreasing when the flow is subsonic and area is increasing when the flow is supersonic. So at subsonic velocities, the pressure decreases in converging ducts. The decrease in pressure is subsonic nozzle. And in diverging duct, the pressure is decreasing, and this means it is the subsonic diffuser. In supersonic flow, dA and dP have opposite signs. Pressure is decreasing but the area is increasing. The students are familiar with the terms nozzle and diffuser. When we are defining nozzle and diffuser, then shape is not important. The same equipment can operate as a nozzle or a diffuser depending on the flow regime. So nozzle is a device which converts enthalpy into kinetic energy. The enthalpy or static enthalpy includes pressure or internal energy. For the incompressible fluid, it is simply pressure. The internal energy usually is lower. So the subsonic nozzle will increase the velocity. According to definition of nozzle, subsonic nozzle will increase the velocity. Since it is subsonic, there is an inverse relation between area and velocity. So when the velocity is increasing, this means area is decreasing in the subsonic regime. From the other equations, we can show that when velocity increases, pressure decreases, temperature decreases, and density decreases. Mach number is V over A. When velocity increases, velocity of sound decreases, Mach number will increase. This is for the case of subsonic nozzle. In the supersonic nozzle, velocity is increasing. According to definition of nozzle, velocity will increase. And according to relation of velocity and pressure, both are inversely related, so pressure will decrease. When velocity increases, velocity of sound decreases, Mach number increases. Velocity of sound is decreasing due to increase in fluid velocity because the total temperature is constant in the isentropic flow. So when velocity is increasing, the static temperature is decreasing. The static temperature decrease indicates that velocity of sound is decreasing. And from the relation of velocity and density, when velocity increases, density decreases. Then we come to diffuser. The purpose of diffuser is to convert kinetic energy into enthalpy. For example, pressure energy. So subsonic diffuser is the diffuser in which Mach number at the inlet and within the diffuser is less than 1. Subsonic means Mach number is less than 1. Diffuser means that it is increasing pressure, decreasing velocity. When velocity decreases, static temperature increases. Static temperature increases, velocity of sound increases, and then Mach number decreases. And from the relation of velocity and density, velocity decreases as pressure increases. In the supersonic diffuser, the velocity decreases since it is a diffuser, and Mach number within the converging section is greater than 1. Static temperature increases, density increases from the previous relations. The highest velocity which can be achieved by a converging nozzle is the sonic velocity. If we see the case of subsonic nozzle, if the velocity or the Mach number is in the subsonic regime at the inlet, for example, Mach number is 0.4 at the inlet, the maximum velocity, maximum Mach number that can be achieved at the exit of the subsonic nozzle is equal to 1. Maximum Mach number of 1 can be obtained from the subsonic nozzle. This is proved by the relation. If we see the above relations between area and velocity, if we see equation number 6, according to equation number 6, the decrease in area will increase in velocity up to Mach number of 1. The decrease in area in the supersonic regime will decrease the velocity. So there is an inverse relation only in the subsonic regime for area and velocity. If we want to accelerate the fluid further and we want to increase the velocity after the sonic velocity, if we want to further increase the velocity, we have to increase the area. So for the supersonic flow, if we want to increase the velocity, we should increase the area. So this equation number 6 shows that maximum Mach number that can be achieved from a subsonic nozzle is the sonic conditions. So highest velocity that can be achieved by converging nozzle is the sonic velocity, which occurs at the exit of the nozzle. To accelerate the fluid further, we should use a diverging nozzle or the supersonic nozzle after the subsonic nozzle. So result is the converging and diverging nozzle. Similar is the case with the diffuser. If the Mach number is suppose in the supersonic region, we assume that the Mach number is 2. If you want to decrease the velocity, we use a supersonic diffuser. Under supersonic conditions, when Mach number is greater than 1, the decrease in area will decrease the velocity. The minimum decrease that can be achieved by the supersonic diffuser or the converging diffuser will be equal to 1. If you want to further decrease the velocity, we should use a subsonic diffuser, or we will attach a subsonic diffuser to further decrease the velocity from 1 to any value, for example 0.5 or 0.6. So these are the isentropic relations. The isentropic relations are written. From the previous background, we know that the fluid flow always take place in the presence of pressure gradient. So the next topic is effect of back pressure. Suppose there is a converging nozzle attached to a reservoir. The reservoir is sufficiently large in which the velocity of the fluid is negligible. The total pressure in the reservoir is PT, and PT and PR are same. As the fluid will move through the nozzle, the velocity will increase. In the presence of some pressure difference, or the lowering of the back pressure will result in the increase of velocity. The stagnation pressure and stagnation temperature are constant throughout the nozzle. Since it is the isentropic flow, the stagnation quantities remain same. There can be various conditions depending on the back pressure value. Suppose the back pressure value and the pressure in the reservoir are same. When the pressure is same, there will be no flow. So condition 1 is no flow condition. In the second case, the back pressure is lowered. For example, at the reservoir, in the reservoir the total pressure is 100 and back pressure is suppose 80. In that case, the fluid flow will occur. The static pressure of the fluid will decrease, the velocity will increase, and we will have this curve showing the pressure variation versus length. This pressure value or the velocity value will not be under critical conditions. Suppose the Mach number at the exit is 0.5 or 0.6. If we further lower the back pressure, suppose at the inlet it is 100, the total pressure at the inlet is 100, and the back pressure value at the exit is suppose 50 or 55, between 50 to 55. The velocity will increase and the critical condition will be achieved. The Mach number will be equal to 1. This means the back pressure is sufficiently lower to provide the critical conditions at the exit. So here we have various pressures. One is PE and other one is PB. PE is the exit pressure. Exit pressure is the pressure of the fluid at the exit section. And second pressure is the back pressure. Back pressure is the pressure in the region after the nozzle. So in cases 1, 2 and 3, the exit pressure and back pressure both are same. The fluid pressure at the exit will be same as the back pressure. If we further lower the back pressure, suppose it is 30, in the reservoir it is 100, in the reservoir before the nozzle it is 100, and the reservoir or the back pressure region after the nozzle it is 20. In that case, the fluid will accelerate in the nozzle, the fluid velocity will become maximum, the Mach number will be 1, the exit pressure will remain 50 or 55, the back pressure will be 20. This means the remaining pressure reduction will take place out of the nozzle. So condition 4 is PB less than P steric. P steric is critical pressure for the converging nozzle. The critical pressure is between 50 to 55. The back pressure is the pressure value in the downstream reservoir, that is after the nozzle. So the effect of the back pressure, the effect of the further reduction of the back pressure will not bring any change in the velocity within the nozzle and pressure change within the nozzle. Further reduction of back pressure equal to 0 will give the same result. We will not have any change in velocity and pressure value within the nozzle. Only after the exit of the nozzle, the pressure of the fluid will reduce from 52 to, for example, 0. Then we can have the mass flow rate. We can have the mass flow rate curve. In case 1, the back pressure and the total pressure at the beginning of the nozzle or the reservoir are same. Suppose back pressure is 100, total pressure at the reservoir is 100. Before nozzle it is 100, after nozzle it is 100, there will be no flow and the mass flow rate will be equal to 0. Then the reduction of the back pressure will result in mass flow rate. This is case number 2. For example, back pressure is 80, the mass flow rate will increase, it will have some value. Further back pressure reduction will increase the mass flow rate and the mass flow rate will become constant. Further reduction in back pressure to 20 or 30 or even 0 will not change conditions within the nozzle. The mass flow rate will remain constant, and we can say that the choking conditions are achieved. The nozzle is termed to be choked or flow is termed to be choked, and there is no change in the properties, fluid properties within the nozzle. From the previous equations, we know that the maximum Mach number that can be achieved from a converging duct is equal to 1. If the Mach number is less than 1 in the beginning, from the converging duct we can achieve maximum Mach number equal to 1 from the converging duct.